Hello, this is the Immeasurable Cook. My name is Anthony, and today we're going to make for you some spinach and artichoke dip. Super delicious, super cheesy, and I know you will like it. One of the most important things you need to do for your spinach dip is to make sure you get all the water out. If you ever notice, spinach has plenty of water, and this is how I do it. I just take it, squeeze it out, get as much of that water you can, because there's nothing more nastier than a soggy down, watery spinach dip. Now if you had a cheesecloth, that'll work too, but this is how I do it. So just take that and do that to all your spinach. You want to do this before you make anything else. Get all the water out, just put it to the side. Now we're going to start dicing up our onions and garlic. For this amount of spinach dip we're doing, probably going to use about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 or 7 pieces of garlic chopped up yourself. The one thing you don't want to do is use the garlic already chopped up. You want to use fresh garlic, because that tastes the best. The next step here is to take our chopped garlic and cook it down with our chopped onions, which was about 1½ medium-sized onions. We've got about 6 cloves of garlic, and we're going to cook it down in a little bit of butter with some seasoning, just to soften up the vegetables before we put in our dip. Okay, once you have your onions cooking down, it must have been about 2 minutes already, you take your chopped up garlic that you did and place that in to your onions and butter mixture. Once you get that, we're also going to add at this point some red pepper flakes. You can use as much as you want or as none at all. I like to put a little bit of spice in it. So, that looks about right. I also like to use the Zatarain's garlic and herb seasoning. Basically it's an Italian seasoning. You can use whatever you have in your area, but this stuff is really good. And you just put however much you want. I don't know how much this is, maybe a teaspoon, teaspoon and a half, tablespoon, I don't know. Just do what you want. And also, if you like, I always like to put a little bit of black pepper, which is awesome black pepper ground that I have here. Again, you can put as little as much as you want. Notice I didn't put any salt in. I don't put any salt into the very end because the cheese actually has a lot of salt in it. So we're not going to put any salt in until it's time to season. Alright, next step is to take our cheeses. In a bowl, I already have 2 packs of cream cheese that's been sitting out softened. You want to be sure you do that so it's easy to mix up. And also, I'm going to put in there some, which is I think what makes these cheeses, Alouette garlic and herbs cheese. I'm going to put the whole container into the bowl. And I'm also going to put some of the Alouette creme de brie. Now you don't have to use this. This is actually it's like $6 for this little bit amount. So if you want to bypass it, you can. But I think this actually makes it really good. So you put all of that in. Be sure to get it all in because you paid $6 for it. You want to get every bit of cheese out of there. And to that, you're going to take your sauteed onions and garlic that you had and just pour that right on in, which will also help soften it up some. Take the spinach that you had made, took the water out earlier, just plop that right on in. And also we have here some, it's a 3 cheese shred, Parmesan, Assaggio, and Romano. I used to do individuals, but I just happened to find this pack, all 3 mixed in. So it just saves me a little bit of time. It's not open up. Just put, I don't know, oh, not that much. Next thing we're going to do is chop up the artichoke hearts. I like to use the ones in water. I found out the ones that come in oil kind of make a mess when you're making your dip. But this is what it is. You can use any brand you like. Just open them up and strain them. You can put them in a colander, however you want to do it. You just open it up halfway. Just take it, strain them. Then after they drain a little bit, we're going to chop them up. Next thing we're going to do is get our casserole dish prepared. I usually like to use a glass one. It doesn't matter which kind you use, whatever works best for you. And I also like to butter it. A lot of people ask me, why you butter it? Simple thing is, I like the way butter tastes because it's good for me. So you take it and just butter it all up. And another thing it does, whenever you're cooking, whenever that cheese kind of crusts up at the end, you get a little bit of that buttery taste on it. It's like eating burnt ends off of a brisket. It's delicious. But again, you don't have to do this stuff. You can bypass it. I just do it because I like butter. That's it. Alright, so now we have most of our ingredients into the bowl. We have our 2 things of Philadelphia cream cheese, 2 cans of chopped up artichoke hearts, a large bag of spinach, which is probably a 24-ounce bag. So this is actually a double batch from what most people use. I just like making a large batch because I usually make a bunch for everybody else. So I have that ingredients in here. We have our onions and our garlic. And now is when we add some of the other cheese. Add a little bit of mozzarella. And the thing with all the cheeses that you use, you don't want to use any low-fat cheese. You want to use a high-fat cheese. Alright. There's no real amount of cheese you need to put in there. You could put a little bit or as much as you want. Because I'm going to put some of this mozzarella on the top. So I'll probably put about that much. Nah, I might put a little bit more. About that much. And the other cheese I like to use is the 5 cheese Italian blend. It has all kind of other cheeses in it, but you use whatever you want. You don't have to use this one. You can just use the mozzarella and everything else, but I think this adds a little bit of flavor. Alright. As you can see, this is going to be a lot of cheese. It's a super cheesy dip. Alright, that looks like enough. And this is something else that you don't have to do. The reason why I do it because it adds it, makes it extra creamy, and also makes it easier to stir. Which is heavy whipping cream. Of course, we're not going to use the whole thing. We might use about a quarter of that, maybe a little bit more. So just pour some in. Let's see, we might use about half of it. Alright. Then you just sit there and just stir. And you're going to wind up stirring for a couple minutes. Get everything well mixed together. Alright, next thing we're going to do, I gave it a little taste, and I do need a little bit of salt, not a whole lot, so I'm going to add a little bit of salt now. I like to use the fine grade. I use sea salt. Use whatever type of salt you want. Again, we're not going to put a whole lot in there because this is already has salt from the cheese, and also when I taste it, I could probably use a little bit more of the Zatarain's garlic and herb. So I'm going to just add a little bit more of that. Alright, got that in there. I'm going to stir it up, mix it all in, and we're going to put it into our buttered dish. Alright, now we have everything mixed up, got it seasoned right, got the right amount of salt. I'm going to go ahead and put it into our buttered dish. So just take it and just plop it on in there. And you don't have to press it down or anything. Okay, and once you got your dip in there, take some of the mozzarella cheese, and you're going to sprinkle this all on top. Alright, that looks good. And at this point, if you wanted to, you can add more red pepper flakes, which I think I'm going to. Add a little bit more spice to it. Really not a whole lot, but it'll work. Alright, now you're going to take it, put it into a 325 degree oven for about 30 minutes, or until the cheese is melted on top. Once it's done, take it out, let it cool for a few minutes, put it into separate bowls, or eat it right out the dish with your favorite chip. And next step, we're going to take it, place it in the oven uncovered. Once your stove gets to the temperature you need, which is 325, it's almost there. Set your cooking time, about 25 minutes is the start. And if you could check it after that time, if you need to go a little bit more, you just go a little bit more.
Hello darkness, my old friend, I've come to talk with you again, because a vision softly creeping left its seeds while I was sleeping, and the vision that was planted in my brain.
Alright, it's been about 25-30 minutes. We went a little bit longer than we thought. So now we're going to take the dip out, let it sit for a few minutes, and dig in. there you have it. Our dip is done. Delicious spinach and artichoke dip. It sat for a couple minutes, and now we're going to take a little bit of it, put it in a bowl. Oh, that looks delicious. Alright. And you take with any chip. I like to use the scoops, but any chip that you like to use would be great. Mmm. Delicious.